Hi, I'm Miss Haley with the Huntsville-Madison County Public Library, and today I'm going to show you how to make a fox corner bookmark. This is what he looks like, and he just fits right over the corner of your page, so the top right corner of your book. I don't have a book here with me today, so I can't really show you that. We'll see if I can grab one here in a bit. But that is what we are making. So you have your inspiration there for this craft. You are going to need a pencil, a Sharpie, a black Sharpie, or a black marker would work as well. Some scissors, a glue stick, a piece of white scrap paper. You want it to be about 1/4 of the size of your orange paper. This one's a little bit more. Any less than that really was probably too small. But just a piece of white scrap paper. I'm using construction paper for both of these. You can use other paper if you want. It doesn't particularly matter what you do. You could even use a patterned orange paper for your fox if you wanted to. Fun fact, if you do this in gray, it's a wolf. So it can go both ways. But white scrap paper and then a 5" by 5" square of orange construction paper. So this is 5 inches and 5 inches. It's a perfect square. I cut it using a paper cutter. You can also use a ruler and some pencil to do the measuring if you don't have access to that. But you want a 5" square of construction paper. Any bigger than that and it gets a little bulky in your book. Any smaller than that and it doesn't have, it doesn't stay on the page very well. I have done 4 inches. It's just a little bit smaller than this. And that's okay. If you're using a less bulky paper, if you're using a really, really thin like scrapbook paper, 4 inches might work well. But for any kind of bulky paper, cardstock, 5 inches seems to be the sweet spot. So the first thing you're going to do, we're going to fold our corner bookmark base, which is the orange part, and we are going to take this corner here over to this corner here. So we're just folding this into a triangle. So we're going to line up those corners, and then we're going to make sure the edges line up. I'm going to turn it to face me actually. It's a little easier. So we're lining up our corners, and then I'm making sure the edges also line up just along the edge. Once I've got it lined up, I'm going to push my finger up towards the center and then out towards the point, and then from the center again out towards the point. I'm a little bit off there, but that's okay. The nice thing about this is you don't have to be super perfect. You can be if you want, but you don't have to be. So the next thing we're going to do is fold this point up to this corner. If you turn it so that the long flat part of your triangle is facing you and the point is at the top, you're going to pull this right hand corner up to the top here and crease, and then you're going to do the same thing here. So we're basically meeting them in the middle. When you're doing this, as you're folding, make sure you're holding down your paper. If you guys can see, let me see if I can make it do it. When I pull it up, it shifts a little up here. See how it's no longer at the point there? So when you're pulling up this first one, it's not so bad on the second. But this first fold, go ahead and have a hand kind of pressing down right on this side, just to keep it from shifting over as you're folding it. So match up that corner and this edge especially. And once you're lined up, go ahead and make your crease. If you're using really thick paper, sometimes I'll use the handle of my scissors to just really firm that crease up. Now we're going to do the same thing on this side, so we're going to bring this corner up to the middle. We're going to line up the center here, and we're going to crease. And again, I'm going to just kind of use my scissors to make that a nice firm crease there. So once you have this, should look like that, you are going to unfold it. So unfold. And now we are going to fold this point here, just this top one, so not both. So not like that, but just this front one. And we're going to fold that point down to the middle. And when we do that, these edges here should line up with your crease marks right here. So we're going to fold that down. Hold that with my finger, make sure we're lined up pretty well. And we're going to crease that. You could also, they have a tool for this. It's a bone folder. They used to be made out of bone. They're mostly made out of plastic now. It's this white, hard thing with a little point on it. And you can totally use one of those too if you have one, but I don't. So now we are going to fold these back up. And we're actually going to fold this point down. When this is going to form the ear. Let me unfold him on here. So if I unfold that, if I untuck it, you guys can see what I've done. So he's up here, and I just folded it down like that. And when I did that, I made sure that this fold part didn't go past the line that the top of his head makes. That's important because then when we tuck him in a minute, he'll tuck in nicely and he won't have any weirdness there. That one has a little weirdness there, but that's okay. So we're going to bring these up and we're going to fold it down. Let's see if I can do it up here. So I'm going to fold this guy down, this corner, and I'm going to fold it right about here. And I'm just making sure that this part right here, this little corner, is not any further down than this line. So right there, and then I'm going to crease. So we have that. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and just let that unfold for a minute. So I'm going to fold this guy down. Well, yeah, that way. Down, and again, making sure this corner here is not going past that line. And I'm going to crease. Then I'm going to bring them back up together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this corner here on each one, and we're going to tuck it, fold it, and tuck it in. So there's a little pocket formed by this part. So by the head, a little pocket, and we're tucking those into that pocket. So we're going to just push that back and then down, and then we're going to crease right along right here. And we want this little piece to stick up because that's his ear. Or her. Maybe this is a girl fox. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You can hold it open if that helps you with one finger, and you're going to take this corner, push it down and in, and then fold. And that is going to form the ears on the fox. And that can take some practice. So don't get frustrated with yourself. That takes a couple tries sometimes to get it right. And they don't have to be even. A fox or any animal can hold its ears at different angles. So if they're not perfectly even, don't stress about that. That is fine. All right, now we are going to make his face. So we are going to make the eye patches, the sort of white patches that are on a fox's face. And to do that, I'm going to take this piece of paper. I'm going to take the long edge of it, whatever side is longer I like to use. And I'm going to line up the corner with this corner right here. So this sort of side corner, if we're looking at it, it's this left side corner. I'm going to line it up there. And I'm going to have it a little bit above the edge so that I can see that edge there. And I'm going to just make a mark right at the end where that end corner is. So now I know that the side of his face is as long as this corner to that little mark. And now we want this end near the mark to be pointy, and we want this end up here to be rounded. And we don't want to go all the way up. If you look at this fox here, the rounded edge starts about ½ an inch down from the end. So if I go all the way up from this corner, it's going to be too high on his head. So we're going to come in about a thumbnail, and that's going to be where I'm going to start my face patch. So I'm going to start right there, and I'm going to make a curve. And if you really want, if you're not, I'm just going to draw. Normally, I would just draw this and go to a point. If, however, you're not super comfortable with drawing, you can make a half circle. And then from the point of that half circle, just draw a line curving down to that mark, like that. So that is the basic shape there. If you do that, you're going to have to use the back side of it because the writing, you won't be able to cut that off, but that's okay. So we're going to fold it in half. We want them to be identical or close to it. They're not perfect, but we're going to fold that in half, and I actually want it to come up a little bit more, I think. So we're going to come a little further over, like that. Still coming down, though, to a point. So we're going to fold this paper in half. Just make sure your edges are lined up. You want to make sure you don't, like that. There we go. And we're going to cut this out. And by folding it like this, we're going to wind up with two somewhat identical, hopefully. They might actually be identical. I always mess up my cutting. Pieces, like that. So rather than erasing your pencil marks on this one, just flip it over. That'll be the right-hand side, and then this will be your left-hand side. So we're going to glue these guys down, and you're going to glue them so that the points come into this center, or the center bottom point. So you're going to glue it down there. They're going to overlap a little bit, so you'll glue your first one down, and when you glue your second one down, you want to glue it down to the same spot. So you're going to have maybe a little overlap. You may not too. It just depends on how pointy you got that end. If it's really pointy, you might not have overlap. If it's really curved down to a point like this one was, you might have more overlap, and that's okay. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of my white piece. Usually I'd put it on the orange, but for this, we're going to do it on the back of the white piece. I'm going to get it all over my fingers too. I'm going to line up that end and the edge, and I'm going to press it down. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. You might, if you did the pencil, if you did the half circle technique, rather than just drawing it, you might need to start with this one just to make sure you actually glue that pencil mark down. Just lining it up. Whoops, that's not lined up. And then pressing it down. And these are a little different than this one. If you look at the shape, this one curves up a little bit more. It comes up higher here, and it curves this way a little bit more. And that's okay. Foxes are different, and so it's going to be a little varied. So if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, that is fine. As long as you have some white eye patches, you are good to go. So the very last step is to take your Sharpie, and you're going to color a nose on the bottom. And to do that, you just make a little arch right here, like that. Wow, that's really far away. Like that. And then you color that arch in. So just color that guy in. And then there's a big orange piece in the center. So to fix that, stick your finger in there and just pop them out and color that part in a little bit. And then when you close it, it'll be better. And just, if you're still a little off, just fill it in like that. So now we're going to do the eyes. You can do any kind of eyes. These are just two dots, but you could also do like a bigger eye, a cuter eye. Do a big circle, smaller circle. I always, when I'm doing that smaller circle, I make it bigger than I want it to be if I'm using a Sharpie, because you see how much smaller that looks once you fill it in. It's going to look smaller once you fill it in, and also Sharpies bleed, so you might bleed into that circle a little bit and find that it's not as big as you wanted it to be. I'm going to make this one a little bigger. He's a little small on that side. So you could stop there. You could give it eyelashes. You could fill in some ear patches if you wanted to. It is your fox. You do you. But that is a fox corner bookmark. And let me see if I can grab a book really fast. Not that book. We'll grab this one. And to put it on, so you're right here, you just take it. I like to slide it over a couple pages rather than just one. And you just slide it on there. And you have a super cute fox bookmark for your book. I hope you guys have fun making these. I would love to see what you make. I would love to see what colors you use. You can do a lot of different oranges. You could also do gray. And I'd just love to see what you make. If you want to send them in to our Facebook, it is at Huntsville Madison County Public Library. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.